Hi everyone, welcome to Traveling Misknits. My name is Pia and I am so happy that you're joining me here today, where I want to start out today's episode with a huge big thank you to everyone who helped make the past weekend's knit-a-thon the best knit-a-thon ever. Thank you so much. I had so much fun. I always have fun during the knit-a-thon. I really enjoy it. But this time, after we officially ended the knit-a-thon, I could not put down my needles. I continued knitting actually until quite late that night. And the next morning I got up, I picked up my needles again. So with all of that effort, of course, I have finished my knit-a-thon project, the little version of my cat number 6 for my grandson Victor. That's why there's a V on the chest. Just in case that you were not at the knit-a-thon, I want to talk you through this little sweater. I am really proud of it and I am so looking forward to gifting it to Victor. He is so knit worthy. Every time he sees me knit, he's like, oh, is that for me? Oh, I could really use a hat, an orange hat, a blue hat, a red hat. So yeah, I am really looking forward to giving this one to him. It does look exactly like my cat number 6 pattern, but the cat number 6 does not come in children's sizes. So what I have done instead is I have taken a pattern that I know is good for Victor, my family sweater, and then I have just added the neckline from the cat number 6. And that was really easy. I've done it before, but it is a very simple operation. I just looked in the pattern to see how many stitches I needed for the neckline. Then I doubled that stitch count because this is a double knit neckline here. It's not folded over, it's double knit. So I doubled the stitch count, obviously, and then I added a few more stitches because I needed to accommodate for the little overlay there is on it. When I knew my stitch count, I could just go ahead and follow the cat number 6 pattern until I was ready to start the yoke, at which point I abandoned the cat number 6 pattern and turned to my family sweater. And yeah, I really like this sweater. I really, really like it. I am pretty sure that it's gonna fit him perfectly. I measured against some sweaters that are really good on him. I did use, to get this beautiful green color, I used some Wool of the Andes worsted, the superwash version that I have never worked with before. Usually I will always go for the non-treated version of the Wool of the Andes, but I thought, children's sweater, I know my son is not too precious with the kids' clothes, so I decided that superwash would be the way to go for this one. And I am so happy that I did, because usually I'm not a huge fan of superwash yarns. I find them a bit too smooth. I find that they don't hold the shape very well. And I also find them kind of plasticky in my hands as I'm knitting. But I will say, if you are like me, that you don't really care for the superwash yarns, but you have a project where it would be practical to have a superwash, I really suggest that you try the Wool of the Andes worsted superwash. It does not feel like a superwash, and also it didn't grow. I took the chance of just knitting it to the desired length because it didn't feel like a yarn that will grow a ton like most superwash yarns will, and it didn't. It holds its shape very, very well. I have made the eye cords here black, just to give a little bit of contrast and to tie the whole thing together with the V. I have also bound off in black on the sleeves and forgotten to do it on the body. That was during the knit-a-thon, and I was like, am I gonna go back and pick it out and redo it? But I decided, nah, it doesn't bother me. I know it's not gonna bother Victor. He's not gonna even notice, neither are his parents. So this is what it is. There is one thing, when you do this binding off on the sleeve in a contrasting color like I have done here, I find it difficult to weave in the ends in a completely invisible way. What I have done for this sweater is I have made the sleeves very long so that in the beginning he can wear it with the ribbing of the sleeves folded over like this. But then I was like, no, I need to figure out how to weave in both the green and the black ends in a way that looks neat. So I decided, if you cannot hide it, then you should make it look intentional. So the green was no problem. That was just, it's hidden in all of the green. The black, I simply duplicate stitched over one of the knit stitches of the ribbing to weave in the black ends. And I think it looks really nice. Actually, I think it's a cool little detail. So I hope that his arms are not going to grow too fast, because I will be happy every time I see that. I felt very clever when I figured out how to do this. But yeah, I am going to give this to Victor next Sunday, because that is going to be the first Sunday of Advent. It's also going to be the 1st of December. And Victor and his brother and sister are going to start opening up the Advent calendars that I have made for them. So this will be his present for the first day. That's a bit more than what I will usually put in an Advent calendar. It's very often just some crayons or a cute eraser or something like that. But, you know, I wanted to make this sweater for him, and I know that he's going to appreciate it as a gift. After finishing this one, something very strange happened. I'm pretty sure it's going to be the post-knit-a-thon blues that, I mean, I get it after every knit-a-thon, and I must say that I'm amazed of the many ways, shapes and forms that it comes in. This time it came in losing my will to knit. That was so strange. That never happens to me. I mean, yeah, I always want to knit, only not this week. I just didn't want to. I even tried to tempt myself with a new cast on, something that I've been itching to cast on, but nah. I'm going to show you that later, because I actually did get my knitting mojo back and I did cast it on. But what I did was I crocheted instead, because that I wanted to do. If you're a returning viewer, you will have probably seen that I have made some amigurumi again for the grandchildren for these Advent calendars. I've made a couple of loaf cats. I have 3 grandchildren here in Denmark, so I needed 3 loaf cats. So I made another one. Isn't it just cute? A little fatty thing. I adore it. It's a free pattern, and I am gonna link it in the description box below. I just used some bulky weight leftover yarn. I don't even know what it is, but it's very soft, very nice. I think it's probably mainly acrylic if it's not 100% acrylic, which is totally fine. I stuffed it with cut off yarn ends and some fiber fill. And I stuffed pretty hard because I wanted it to keep its shape. Then I added some safety eyes and a little nose, so I didn't have to embroider anything on it. This is such a quick make. I mean, if you are ever feeling in a slump, this is a perfect project, because in a couple of hours, not even that, in an hour, you have the cutest finished object. And that got me going. So I went on to crochet a couple of native English speakers, please help me. Octopuses. That sounds so strange. But octopi sounds even stranger. Maybe it's one of those words that just doesn't come in a plural form. We actually have some of those words in Danish. Please let me know in the comments below. What is the plural form of octopus? I made two. I made one earlier. So with these two new, I now have 3 of these. And 3 loaf cats, so that's at least 2 days worth of advents. This is also a free pattern, and I'm gonna show this because it's easier to see in the lighter yarn. It is so easy. This is quick. This is like 30 minutes. It's a free pattern. I'm gonna link it below. But what you do, you basically just do this little half ball, and then you work around in the front loop only, where you make these, are they puff stitches, bubble stitches, to form the tentacles, and then you work in the back loop only to close off the octopus. So fast, so easy. I think I probably modified the pattern a little bit to work a couple of rounds with some rapid decreases rather than just pulling it tight. I wanted it to be flat and able to sit like this. Such a quick and easy little project. Within 30 minutes, I had not only a cute octopus, I also found my will to knit again. So I decided to not pressure myself to work on any of the projects. I do have projects that I want to finish. I just don't want to, which doesn't make sense. But, you know, I'm not going to force it. This is for fun. This is my me time. So I want to work on the things that I want to work on. So I did treat myself to a new cast on, something that I have been wanting to cast on for a while. My friend Ina has just published a new scarf pattern. She is the queen of scarves. And she published this one. I'm just going to show her pattern picture just so that you can get a better idea of it. I have been wanting to knit that. It looks so cool. Although Ina is very cool. I don't know that the cool factor will necessarily rub off on me. I'm hoping. It's called the Pistvæk scarf. Pistvæk is a cute way of saying all gone in Danish. And it refers both to the fact that you can use up even the tiniest scraps in this one, and also the fact that it's Pistvæk, it's off your needles in no time. This is so fast. Ina does give instructions in the pattern for different gauges. She talks a bit about what kind of fabric you're going to want for it. And then she helps you figure out the math so that you can work with whatever scraps you have. I am working with wool of the Andes worsted non-superwash, the leftovers from my cardigan. And then I'm just striping in all the little red and orange and brownish and gold toned scraps that I find entertaining. Yeah, striping my way through this. I can't wait to get back to it. It is so much fun. And I think it's a nice way to be able to have some knitwear on my person for all the Christmas parties that are coming up now without me being way too hot. So this next scarf, for sure, I am looking forward to knitting on that. She does suggest a length of roughly 200 centimeters, 2 meters, which is a lot, but it's okay. I don't love magic loop, but what I always do is I put a smaller needle on a smaller needle tip that I hold in the hand where I feed the stitches, and then the correct size in my left hand where I form the new stitches. That makes it so much easier to get your stitches up on the needle for the magic loop. I can sometimes, even though I'm a quite loose knitter, I can struggle just a little bit to get them up if I'm using the same size needle in both hands. I find that it's just so much easier. And when you're working with interchangeables, I mean, why not? So that's what I'm also doing for this one. They're in this cute little basket. It's one that I won in a giveaway year, maybe even 2 years back. It is so cute. I have a couple of these baskets in the big size. I use them when we go to the cabin, if we are bringing food, when we're going down to our son. Whenever I want to transport something that I don't want just rolling around in bags, then I will use baskets, not small size. This is just for a tiny project, but it's perfect for a scrappy project where you want to be able to see the colors that you have, so you know what you have to choose from. Yeah. I have also worked just a little bit on my festive yoke cardigan, and I want to work more on it. Or honestly, I want to finish it because I want to wear it. I have finished the front now. I have done the steek. What I do is first I pick up all of the stitches for the button band. Then I crochet to secure my edges here, and then I cut. That has never been a problem. I do suggest being careful if you're working with a very slippery yarn. Then I'd probably use a sewing machine, but that's not my forte. So yeah, usually I will say if I want to steek, I'm going to use a yarn that's good for steeking. And this yarn is excellent for steeking. This is a blow yarn, which means that when you cut the tube that the yarn is constructed with, a blow yarn is basically a tube that fibers are blown into. When you cut that tube, of course, the fibers are going to come out just a little bit, and then they'll felt together in no time. This is Drops Air. I love that yarn. You wanna, when you're working with any blow yarn, you wanna pay attention to the properties of a blown yarn. They're gonna grow width-wise, and they're gonna then, of course, pull up to get wider. And you just wanna be aware of that as you're knitting. You can always block them back into shape, but they will actually hold their shape pretty well if you just take into account that they're gonna pull up a little bit. Yeah. And you can see my floats. This is such an easy pattern to work. These old Norwegian color work charts that Scandia Knits provides in her pattern, they're just so easy to work because they're made to be knit. They're not primarily made to be pretty. Pretty is just an added benefit. They were made to make the sweaters heavier, warmer, thicker. So you don't have long floats in these. You never have. The longest float that I've ever seen in a traditional Norwegian pattern, I think that's been 5 stitches. So I haven't done anything to secure my floats. I've just let them run free. I have made quite a lot of modifications to the festive yoke cardigan. The first thing, of course, being that my gauge is totally off. I have a gauge of what, 17, 18 stitches, something like that, to 10 centimeters, where I'm pretty sure the pattern gauge is 23 stitches. So I had to do a little math to figure out what size to knit. But that's coming out beautifully. I've tried it on and it fits me just like I want it to fit me. I have also changed the construction of the neckline. In the original pattern, you knit the ribbing for the neckline and then you go into the yoke and you knit the whole thing, you steek it, then you add the button band, and it will then, of course, go all the way up to the steek up in the neckline, and you knit it this way going out rather than following the lines of the sweater. I prefer this better. I like when the neckband is not compromised, that the neckband it keeps its integrity even with the steek. So what I did was I worked the ribbing flat, and then I also cast on some extra stitches so that I could put some stitches on hold when I started knitting the yoke. Those stitches I then later picked up and used those to work the button bands, and as I was working them, I was knitting them to the cardigan. Yeah. Sleeves, I rarely follow instructions for sleeves. I just try them on, and I do my decreases as I go, and I always mark them with some stitch markers so that it is very, very easy on the second sleeve to just copy what I did on the first sleeve. But yeah, I so want to wear this sweater. Because it's a blow yarn, it's not as warm as it looks. I would be able to wear this for a Christmas lunch, Christmas party, just with a little silky top underneath, then I would be totally fine. So I want to finish it by next weekend. I don't know that it's going to happen, because I'm also not going to force myself, but yeah, what do you know? We shall see. Maybe I'll finish the Pistweg scarf and wear that instead. Or I will wear one of the many, many, many knitted garments that I have. I could actually wear what I'm wearing today, which is my Advent pattern for 2024. This is my Christmas cactus cardigan. It's been published today alongside with my cowl and hat pattern, an Advent set. The cardigan is, I designed this to be knit with an Advent calendar or with scraps. I have used scraps for mine. I did not have an Advent calendar laying around. But you basically work stripes on a neutral background so that every day when you get a new yarn, you can work a stripe. Because I needed to take yardage into consideration, there are two different stripe sequences depending on the size you're working. For the larger sizes, there's just not going to be enough in these longer stripes at the bottom of the yoke. So I suggest there that you either use two colors, stripe them in together like micro striping, or you maul two fingering weight yarns together to stretch the color that you have, or that you use another stripe sequence where you have, here you have a lot more, you have thicker stripes of the Advent against thinner stripes of the main color. In the larger sizes, I suggest that you have the same size stripes for Advent and main color. For mine, I chose Rowan's Felted Tweed as the main color because look at this. How perfect is this for color play? There are so many colors and nuances to this yarn, so it'll dance with any color that you decide to add. As you can see, I have made some really long cuffs on this. It is slightly longer in back. You're working a few decreases as you work down the body. Of course, you can omit the body shaping and just knit straight until your preferred length. But then you're probably, if you want it longer, you're probably gonna need a little bit more than one Advent. But you know, most of us have scraps. If you don't have scraps, ask a friend. I'm sure you're going to be able to find some scraps. Now, I was talking about before necklines, because I have a thing about necklines. I want them to look in a very specific way. I also want them to have some integrity because they do carry a lot of the weight of a knitted garment. So on this Christmas cactus cardigan, there's a very special neckline, and I brought my other version because it's going to be easier to show you. To see a nice clean look the neckline has. I have learned from Ina, Pistvik Ina, to work an I-cord and then pick up stitches in one end of the I-cord to work the yoke, and the other end of the the other edge of the I-cord pick up to knit the neckline itself. I love this method. It just look how pretty it is. And also an I-cord does give a whole lot more structure, stability, integrity to a neckline than a regular cast on. So I have used that. This is what is described in the pattern. Of course you can omit it. Of course you can just work your own neckline. All will be good. But working the neckline this way, you ensure that your cardigan is not going to slide off of your shoulders when you're wearing it. The pattern comes with two sets of instructions. One for team I hate purling. They're gonna get a version where you knit it in the round and then you steek it after. And then there's a version for team I don't want to knit I don't want to cut my knitting. So for that one, you knit it flat. This one, I knit flat. The red one that I showed you last week, I knit in the round and steeped it. So I've tried both. They work fine. It's definitely just a matter of your personal preference, which version that you go for. I have another Advent pattern coming out today. This is the cowl and the hat, the set that I made for Peter's birthday earlier in the fall. This is designed to use up the teeny tiny scraps that you often have when you have used your Advent in a project, and maybe you have these tiny little scraps and leftovers. If you want to use up every single bit, I mean, this cowl is designed to use exactly 24 colors. I did not use 24. I did not have that many scraps with me, but you can. There are stripes enough, and in the pattern I also tell you what color to use when. But you have this stripy sequence. First you have these broader stripes, then you have some smaller ones, then you go into some slip stitches, this little slip stitch pattern here, and then you have a row or a round with little bobbles. It is very, very easy to wear, and I even found out that when I'm not feeling colorful, I can just turn it around. Then I have only the main color showing. But usually, and this is Peter's, but usually I would wear it with this side showing. I did make one for myself as well. The pattern gives 3 sizes for the cowl. But it is very, very easy to modify. I just give sizes for a child, adult, small, medium, which is this one, and then an adult, medium, large, which is Peter's. But it is very, very easy to customize this one. The hat is very, very, very simple. It only has the slip stitch pattern here on the main body of the hat. It is worked top down, just because very often when I knit a hat, I am using some leftovers. If I have a couple of balls left over or a single skein left over from a project, I want to knit a hat, but I always find it's so difficult to gauge when do I have to start the increases for the crown to be able to have enough yarn. With this pattern, you start up here, you knit down either to the length that I give in the pattern or until you run out of yarn. You just knit a tube and stockinette stitch all the way down, and then you fold it in such a clever way that you don't have to worry about the purl stitches, the back side, suddenly sticking out. This is clever. You do have 3 layers of fabric here over the ears. This is so big on me because, as I said, it's Peter's. But even on him, there's a bit of slouch to it. It is written to be just a little bit slouchy, but of course you can omit the slouch if you prefer the bowler look, the tighter look for the hat. And now I have royally messed up my hair, but it was not too good to begin with, so we just gotta roll with it, right? I'm gonna link my new Advent patterns in the description box below. As I said, they are coming out at the same time that this video is coming out. They're going to be available on Ravelry and in my own web shop. One last thing. It feels like I've been talking forever. And actually when I sat down to record, it's like, I don't have much to say, but it seems like I can talk about knitting. Maybe I haven't been too good at doing the actual knitting, but I can talk about it. Vlogmas is coming up. This is the last formal podcast of the year. Vlogmas is coming up next Sunday. I am definitely doing Vlogmas again. I really enjoyed it last year, so I'm definitely gonna do it again. I don't know that I'm gonna be able to upload a video every day, but I'm gonna try my best. One thing I will say is I know that some people really don't care for the vlog format. So what I'm gonna do is every Thursday, I am gonna let the Vlogmas episode be very much like a podcast. It will be a roundup of the week that has passed. What have I been working on, and what am I working on? All the usual stuff. So if you don't care for the vlog format, then make sure to pop in on Thursdays for a more of a regular podcast. I am gonna first have all the knitting stuff, and then after that, I'll have just a little bit of what's going on in my Christmas life. So just to make sure that everyone can get what they prefer to get, and that I can do my Vlogmas, because yeah, that was so much fun last year. And I must admit, I'm probably gonna appreciate any help I can get this year. I love Christmas, but it is the first Christmas after Mom's passing. So she loved Christmas too. She's very present, and that's a good thing. But yeah, whatever I can do to make the season even more enjoyable for myself, I'm gonna do that. I really hope you're there for it. I hope to see you again for Vlogmas. Until then, stay happy, stay safe, and keep knitting.